We're in our brand new location. We're really excited to be here. We've got an amazing facility now, and you can just tell the buzz and the morale of our team, and the doctors that work with us. They're happy for us, just because it's been probably over 20 years now that we've been at this in our last location, and now we got a new grand location to serve everyone we feel better. And speaking of which, DENTA4, we basically get the question quite often, why DENTA4? Like what makes it unique and different than any other CE course? Well, it's been very clear to us that the one thing that is really missing in dentistry is ultimately, we know for a fact that a lot of signs and symptoms that patients have are ultimately from a collapsed or poor VDO, vertical dimension. And now, where that originated from and the problem originated from that's a deep question. But the why it's important to a general dentist today is ultimately you have to find out where you are at in the divide in the road. If you want to ultimately ignore the signs and symptoms such as headaches, migraines, clicking, popping jaw joints, snoring, sleep apnea, vertigo, tingling in the fingers, the list goes on, cracking, breaking teeth. If you want to just fix the tooth, there's nothing wrong with that. But the one thing that we want everyone to know is that you're not finding the root of the problem. The root of the problem ultimately being, is it related to a bad jaw relationship, meaning this relationship to the skull? And that's a big epiphany I think most dental professionals will come to in their career, is they're gonna say, oh man, like, not just look at the fact that it's overclosed and you've got worn down teeth to nothing, or maybe the teeth are fine, but the patient still has all these issues. DENTA4 is basically, we're trying to optimize airway, number one, jaw joint. Muscles are almost always happy when we've got a good airway and or healthy CR position, okay? And when we find those three things, and then we find where the healthy tooth position ultimately is. And potentially restore to it, and I think this is why I keep finding myself answering this. Doctors always ask, this is a full mouth reconstruction course. No, it's not. Basically what we're trying to do, there are patients out there that have healthy dentition, but you know what? They have a sick jaw joint, or they have a fine, and their airway's fine. But more often than not, what we've noticed is people that have chronic jaw joint issues typically have an airway constriction also. And this is what we find that dentists that are really studying in the area of physiology, and that's what Dr. Marangos and Dr. Edmund Liam are teaching in our course, is they have seen this after 40 years of treating teeth, that you can't just put Band-Aids on teeth and expect them to last a long time. And when I say Band-Aids, I mean just a simple crown, implant, denture, whatever. If you don't optimize this jaw relationship first, you're gonna have the same ongoing problems with the restorative stuff that you do. And I'm sharing this from 40 years of my experience that I see firsthand, because at the end of the day, my brother and I are the ones who have to answer for when things aren't working. And I can tell you from the bottom of my heart that if you find the root of the problem, meaning optimize that jaw joint, get it sitting on a nice healthy disc, okay? New CR. If you optimize that airway, you will create a beautiful place to restore anything to. And it will last that patient a lifetime. So that's what the nuts and bolts of this actually is. And how do we do that? Ultimately, we have a series of orthotics that we will, first of all, teach you how to get an optimal starting VDO. It's what we call a phonetic bite. And usually that will be a Shimbashi measurement, which is CEJ to CEJ of 18 to 20 millimeters. Now, when we have that starting point, then we test drive a series of orthotics. So we'll start with a hard pivot, which will decompress this jaw joint during the day, and at night, the patient will wear this anterior deprogrammer with a ramp, okay? And that will prevent the mandible from falling back at night. We want to basically find a new, healthy, repeatable position for this condyle to function in and sit on a nice, healthy disc, or healthier than it was before. Then we graduate it to what we call a flat plane lower orthotic, again wearing the anterior deprogrammer at night. And then last but not least, we ultimately find a demand appliance, and this has full occlusal anatomy that the patient wears during the day, and again the anterior deprogrammer at night. So this splint therapy, orthotic progression, whatever you call it, the most important thing for dentists to know and patients when they're going down this road, this is 100% retractable, meaning this is not an actual, this is a diagnostic treatment. So no one can get in trouble, the college, legally, anything. This will always, if you take these away, the patient will always regress back into their original position and or condition. But why this is so important is with the proper system, meaning we've developed a DENTA4 app of a checklist to go through this, you will know how to go from A to Z with an orthotic progression with all the proper consent forms, okay? And the consent forms are golden. It's beyond just making a chart note. This is a consent form that you, the patient, and a witness, i.e. the CDA, has all seen and are taking record of. And it's obviously kept in your files, and the patient they have a copy of it, so it's all forthcoming. Now, once that is finished, once the maximum medical improvement has happened through this orthotic progression, which usually takes 6 to 8 weeks, some will demand longer if it's, a really highly symptomatic patient. In those situations that it takes longer, these are really complex cases, and you may not want to dive into those and hand it off to a veteran that's better equipped. But in my experience, most patients are always benefiting from even a dentist that's just starting out at this for the first time. They instantly feel like they've had a level of treatment that they've never seen from any general dentist or heard of before. So it elevates you as a dentist to a point where you think you have a new sense of confidence to handle these kind of patients. Now, once this happens, if you have the dental cripple, okay, where you've got worn down teeth down to stubs, or really a lot of missing teeth and you need to do restorative, now you have a patient that's basically motivated on 2 levels. Number 1 level is most patients are motivated by pain or vanity, okay? This is not about that at all. This is about helping a patient that basically has these health symptoms that no one else has been able, no other dentist or medical doctor's been able to help them with, and now you have the means to help them with it. The clicking, popping jaw joint, the snoring, sleep apnea, and we all know these patients are in your practice now. It isn't about searching for this. They're in there and they want help, they need help. And so when you can give them an orthotic progression that helps him with that, now you've got somebody that's extremely motivated to come up with a plan to either restore to that position, but if you have the devil's advocate and says, no, I don't want to do that, I feel better, just wean me off these orthotics, doc, no problem. And they can do that. But 90% of the times, those same signs and symptoms will all come back again. And that's why we know that this is so important. It has such an important place in your practice today. So we have already pretty much a sold out course for DENTA4, our live one in our boardroom, due to social distancing, and we're trying to be very respectful of that. But you can log on to us via Zoom, and we made it extremely affordable so that it'll get your fingers wet. Yeah, it's not the same experience as if you're in with Dr. Liam or Dr. Marangos, but I can promise you this, you will pull pearls that you've never seen before, whether it's Zoom or not. And just the hardest thing is to stay focused for that time of 16 CE credits. Anyways, again, thanks for sharing this time, and I'd love to talk more. If you have any questions about this whole process, more than capable of handling that. Myself, my brother James, and Tyrell and Curtis. They're all advocates for this, so yeah, thank you very much.